Hey, what's up? I'm Liz, this is Blitz City DIY, and today I'm going to be talking about recording guitar. Now, obviously, there's a lot of different approaches you can take to recording guitar. This video, I'm going to take kind of a beginner's approach, just kind of giving you the basics to record your guitar, going through an amp, kind of addressed at someone who's just starting to record and just wants to get a decent tone for their recording. Now, there's kind of three things you want to keep in mind. First is your microphone. Now, I'm a big proponent of DIY gear. I don't think you need to have the best of the best to do a decent job with your recording. I myself started out with a Nady SPC25 condenser mic, probably goes for about 30 bucks, and it has a little on-off switch for the condenser, which is powered by a AA battery inside, so if your recording interface doesn't have phantom power, you can use this microphone, which when I started out, I did not have phantom power. And I was able to get decent recordings out of this. And for someone just starting out, you're probably going to want to go with something kind of basic. The most important thing about your microphone is knowing the pickup pattern. That's where on the microphone capsule, it's going to have the frequency response and kind of the shape of that. Now, talking about pickup patterns, that's really a whole nother video. I won't get too much into that, but just knowing how your microphone records, basically, and knowing where the frequency response is. For example, on the Sennheiser E609 microphone, the pickup pattern's in the front here and is kind of coming out that way. And then another different example, this MXL 551 capsule microphone, obviously the pickup pattern's right here in the front, and that's where it's going to record the sound. So once you know your microphone and know how it works, you're going to want to mic your amp, obviously. Now, how are you going to want to mic it? You want to get nice and close, if nothing else. Now, there's a lot of discussion about where to mic on your cab, and that's all preference, and also depending on your amp too, you're going to want to get to know kind of where your best location is. But the most important thing is to get it nice and close. That's going to avoid picking up other extraneous room sounds, other sounds that you're just not going to want to have on your recording. You're going to get the purest sound if you're just nice and close. And if you're starting out, I would recommend also getting it right in the center of the speaker on your amp. It's just going to give you that pure tone, and then you can play around with different locations for miking the cab, but you just want to, the most important thing is to get it very close. And then after you mic your amp, you're going to want to think about the room, and you're going to want to think about whether you should isolate the amp, which I recommend doing no matter what, because chances are you're not recording in a soundproof room or a room that has any sort of like treatment for sound. So there's obviously professional solutions like these things called gobos, which are pieces of foam that you can kind of like move around and like isolate your amp up. But what I recommend doing, and I've actually had the best luck with, taking some like nice thick blankets, putting them on a chair, and just kind of covering the amp so that it's encased in the thick material with the microphone obviously against the amplifier. And what that does is, instead of having the sound kind of going out to the room in an unisolated amp, by isolating it, the sound is contained in kind of this little bubble. That allows the microphone to get a nice thick recording, whereas otherwise, if it's going out to a room, especially I'm in an apartment with very high ceilings, it'll sound thin. But if you isolate it, you're going to get a really thick and nice sounding sound. So those are the basic things to keep in mind when you're recording guitar, and using those techniques, it's not going to matter too much what microphone you're using. With recording, I found it's always more about your technique of capturing the sound rather than the gear. Yes, the gear matters, but more importantly is how are you executing the recording. And of course, no gear will ever make up for bad playing. And if you capture the sound properly by isolating it and close miking it, you're going to have less work to do in post-production. It's always easier to edit a nice, clean recording rather than something that sounds a bit muddy or thin. It's always easier to have something that sounds nice to start with rather than having to make something sound nice. So that's all for this video. I'm going to start doing a few more recording kind of how-to videos, especially for music and things. So if you like this video, toss me a thumbs up, and if you feel the opposite, throw me a thumbs down. Leave your questions, comments below. Find me on social media. All the links are down in the description. And until next time, this is from Blitz City DIY.